Okay, we're going to have another video here in the Woodlot Management Series, and today we're going to talk about scale. Scale can make or break your operation, depending on which way that the mills scale your wood. If you get a mill that scales on a good scale, you'll come ahead. If you get a mill that scales you hard, you'll lose money. Now there's two different scales that you'll see in the woods, or actually three different scales that you'll see in a usual woodlot operation. The first one is a stick scale, and what a stick scale does is they will measure the end diameter of your log, and they'll measure across the smallest place. If you got a little scoop in the log, they'll measure from the inside of that, and they measure from the inside of the bark to the inside of the bark. There's tables, you can find them online. I won't go into too much depth on them. There's tables that will show you for a 16-foot log, if it's 16 inches on the top inside the bark, it has X number of board feet of lumber into it. And the mills that buy by board foot will usually buy by the 1,000 or by the 1,000 board feet. So if you were getting good scale on, say, Bangor log scale, logs of this size right here, this one's about 16, 18 inches on the top. Logs like this here, it would take probably 12 pieces of logs to make 1,000 board feet of lumber. There's other board scales, one that was used here in central New Brunswick for years, that it would probably take 20 of these logs to make 1,000 board feet of lumber. There's the difference that you come across in scale, because not every stick scale is exactly the same. Now a stick scale usually allows for a 1/4 inch kerf in the mill, because the old sawmills ran the big circular sawmills. A lot of the mills today are using bandsaw, and so a bandsaw mill, when they calculate the number of board feet in a log, that allows for usually an 1/8 inch kerf, whereas with the old circular mills they allowed for a 1/4 inch kerf, which is waste, which they don't pay you for. Now the next scale that you come across in the woods is for 4-foot or 8-foot wood. Very rare to find a market today for 4-foot wood. Years ago we had a market here for 4-foot pulpwood. We don't have that anymore. Pulpwood here, studwood, all has to be either 8 or 9 foot. So pulpwood used to be sold by the cord. Now a cord is 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet long. So this wood here is cut 8 foot, actually it's about 8'4". That's the allowance we have to put on for studwood. So a cord of this studwood would be a pile 4 feet high, 4 feet wide, and the wood is 8 feet long. Now you'll come across a lot of discussion on different types of cords. Something making a noise down in the woods. You'll find a lot of discussion in different types of cords. People will tell you that there's face cords and there's this kind of cord, usually in relation to firewood. There's no such thing. A cord of wood is defined as a pile of wood that is 4 feet high, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long. Now, some people, when they're selling firewood, especially if they're selling it in urban centers to people that don't really understand scaling of wood, they'll say a face cord, it's 16-inch slice off the front of a cord of wood. So you would actually be buying, a third of a cord of wood when you buy what they call a face cord. A face cord is not a legitimate measure as far as commerce goes. So that's the cord. The cord was a pile 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 foot. It's very rare today. In this province, I don't think there's any more sawmills that buy by the cord. Now they buy by weight. And so when you go to, if you went online and you looked up a table of the different specs and what different sawmills are paying, you look at the Woodlot Association Marketing Board pages, you'll find all the prices given in tons of wood, and it's measured by the metric ton. Now that's calculated on X amount of wood weighing a specific weight, and they average the weight of that wood over the course of the year, spring, summer, fall, winter, and they balance it out. The problem is weight measure is always in the favor of the sawmill. And the reason I say that is this. This pile of wood right here has snow and ice into it. It's the sap in it is frozen, and so this wood is the heaviest that it will be over the course of a year. You take that same pile of wood, you cut that in the middle of July. When it's dry, there's not a lot of rain, you get long days, long sunshine hours through the day, you get drying winds. That same pile of wood would weigh about 30% less in the middle of July or August as what it will weigh right now. And so that's how you can lose a lot of money in a short time as a woodlot owner. Now, there's different sawmills, different forestry operations that will come along to a private woodlot owner like myself, and they'll offer a price. Okay, you've got 100 acres of land here. We'll cut that piece of land and we'll give you X amount of thousands of dollars for your wood based on a precursory look over your land. They'll judge roughly what you've got there for standing wood, and they'll give you a price. And sometimes if you're unaware of the value of the actual wood, you might look at the figures and think, well, that looks like a pretty good price. But here's where you can lose a lot of money in a short time. Because if you sign on the dotted line and you gave a forestry company permission to come in and stumpage your land and cut it, they will come in, usually in the spring of the year, when the sap is just starting up the tree. They'll come in and they'll cut all of the wood, and then they bring it out on porters and they'll pile it up. And they'll pile it 12, 16 feet high in the air, up there in the wind and the sun, and then they'll leave your wood laying for 3 to 4 months before they truck it out. And you think, oh, what are they doing? What are they doing? How come it's taken so long to get truckers in? And if you ask, they might say, well, you know, we're arranging to get a trucker in there to take your wood. What they're doing is they're air drying your wood. That's the sad fact of the matter. They will pile your wood up alongside a road on a clear cut, and your wood will lay there and dry. And by the time that they finally come in a month and a half, 2 months later after the wood's been cut, and they load that wood on the truck and take it to the sawmill or pulp mill, wherever it's going, your wood lost 30% of its value because it was piled up and air dried in the exact same way that we would dry firewood. Same volume of wood, if you sold it by the cord, a tandem truckload will usually haul, a tandem with a self-loader will usually haul about 10 cord of pulpwood. If you converted that to weight measure of what a cord of wood supposedly weighs by their average weight, and you let them cut it in the summertime, and it lays in the woods and it dries out all nice, and you take that same 10 cord of wood on that same tandem truck and you haul it into the mill, and they weigh it on the scales and pay you for it, you'll get paid for 7 cord of your wood. That's how you can lose a lot of money by not watching how your wood is harvested and when it's harvested. If you're harvesting wood by yourself in the wintertime, you're going to get the full weight of your wood. If you harvest in the summertime, never let your wood lay in the woods for over 3 or 4 weeks at the very most. In fact, if you're cutting in July and August, try and have your wood cut and on a truck and on its way to the mill within 3 weeks maximum if you want to gain the most return on your wood. Because otherwise, your wood is drying out, and the only person that wins on weight scale is the owner of the sawmill or the lumber company. So there's your tip for today, how to save a few dollars in an industry that's designed to make sure you lose money. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.